Alrighty. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Totally flawless, no issues set up. We are here. This is the A&M Podcast, perfectly running smooth.
Take one.
Absolutely. I've only ever done take one. I've never done a take two or had any hiccups or issues ever in my life.
We know.
Exist.
We can tell.
Yeah, see? Yeah. I prefer, what's Bleach's author's name?
Which one?
Bleach's author?
Kubo?
Yeah, I'm like Kubo and Gege. Never fucked up. Never once. Perfect storytelling. Everything is peak. Flawless, fundamental, and just superb.
I mean, it is the best IP out there.
Yeah,
Did you see that JJK is re-releasing the first half of season 2 in theaters as like a movie?
Oh, but that sounds like it would be fire though. Because that would.
I mean, it probably.
Technically season 2.
It's season 2.
I think season 2.
Yeah, so it's Gojo when he's young. So it's basically a prequel to the Yuta movie. Which honestly, huh? Oh yeah, no, it's super dope. I'm like, honestly, if I don't ever watch the JJK series, you just watch those two movies and it's the Gojo show, yeah. Right? Like,
you're golden. Yeah, no, would that be now? Normally, I would never be cool with like. If you're really into an anime, and I think anime movies should always be extensions of something or like add to the world, or be totally irrelevant. Like I am actually okay with like One Piece has some really stupid movies, and I'm okay with them kind of being wonky if you just want to tell some like off-brand story with the characters that Oda doesn't want to commit to paper. So you either need to be like way the fuck out there, or add without, how do I make sure I say this correctly? That sounded like an idiot. What would be your line for like what would establish, like if JJK ends up with like 3 or 4 movies and that's actually better than either the anime or the manga, would you be okay with that being like the go-to for like, yo, you really want to watch JJK? Watch these 4 films.
Yeah, 100%. I don't think like all it is time, right? There's so much content out here, and it's that whole thing of like, could this meeting have been an email? If you can condense something and have it still make sense to 2 hours versus like a 20 episode show, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to take the 2 hours in a heartbeat. Like, and maybe that gets me some shit, but here's my question for you, Justin. How do you feel about anime ending with theatrical releases that you know aren't going to be on Crunchyroll, or they'll be illegally on other things for like probably about a year and a half? So it exists in the ether, but you have to go to the movies to watch it. And at some point it will be on a streaming service, but honestly, probably about a year. And that's after we get it. So it'll probably release in Japan first, and then we get it a few months later, and then maybe the following summer we get it on streaming.
So my response to that would be, if it's done right, I think it absolutely can work. And I know I swear I love this story to death, even though we talk shit about all the time, but this is time to say something good about it. Naruto does that probably as well as any mainstream IP I can think of. Now, I don't remember the exact timeline of when Japan got the last in Boruto versus when we got it, but if you told me, like, we watched the final Naruto Sasuke fight together, we were living together, and then we went and saw both movies in theaters. To me, that worked for Naruto. Now, you can say in hindsight, because of it continuing, okay, is that really the end now? And you can get into semantics. But if Naruto just ended with those 2 movies of, hey, I'm going to wrap up the love storyline that we all know exists, but Kishimoto didn't want to really write. And then we get the transition of, here is, you get a little bit of fan service, and here is Naruto as a Hokage, right? And so you get to see those two things that wouldn't go in the 700 chapters, but I can still give you this content. That to me would be perfect. I don't remember exactly as far as timelines if how early Japan got either of those movies versus us, or I don't remember exactly even how long they came out after Naruto was done. I'm sure from the manga it's probably 2 years from the manga ending, but probably closer to a year from the anime ending.
Are you talking specifically about Boruto, or are you talking about the last, or both?
So I think both work.
Okay.
I think Naruto uniquely because the last isn't really important outside of going, yes, he marries Hinata, cool, we got that storyline that we started all the way back in it's probably chapter 2, but episode 1 of seeing the one girl that actually looked at Naruto and said, oh, I don't hate him. And it's like, cool, our boy got his love interest. And then we got to see our boy fully realize, and it's like, okay, everything we saw up to him now was him trying to become Hokage, and now I'm going to give you this short film of him being Hokage. And I think that works really well. Like One Piece would be kind of weird because I don't think there's no the last for Luffy. I don't see him as a love interest type character whatsoever. Like I don't. And Hancock, to me, if that is the end all be all, I just don't care for that. But if I got like a movie of what Luffy as Pirate King, like I'd be cool with that. So I wouldn't be upset about it if it's done well.
Yeah. No, I think that's
Isn't
fair.
Demon Slayer like that? Doesn't Demon Slayer technically end with a theatrical release?
I think it's splitting its last arc into like 3 movies. I think 3 was the number I heard. And then Haikyuu is wrapping up its series with 2 movies. The first of which was kind of like where I was going with this, kind of what I was leaning more towards with how do you feel about having to go from something that's episodic to a movie when it's not particularly the ending. I think Demon Slayer did it first with its second season, and then they went back and redid the second season episodically. Yeah. But you're cool with like them being like, no more episodes. Yeah, you throw it as a movie.
Yeah, because it wasn't in a theater, but Attack on Titan basically did that, and I think Attack on Titan nailed its ending.
Yeah.
Like, if that was in a theater, and I think actually Attack on Titan's a great example, because if Attack on Titan's last 2, however you want to call those, like I know some people call them long episodes, some people call them movies, that hour time frame is, people can be whatever you want to identify that as. Like, but if you threw those last couple of like the last season, part 3, part 4, part 5, and those were 2 movies, fuck yeah, Attack on Titan would be amazing in a theater. And I'm not even someone who likes to go to a movie theater, but like that would get me to a movie theater. Like if I got Colossal Titan Eren and Armin fucking throwing down in a giant ass screen, like fuck yeah, sign me up. So they could have nailed that.
Yeah.
It's even better than Naruto. Like, and I like the Naruto Boruto movie, even though I have no distinction to care about the. We didn't get a Boruto chapter this week, right?
No. That's next week. 2 weeks. Week and change. The 20th. They always come out on the 20th. Trust me, Justin. You'll get an update if a Boruto chapter comes out.
Oh shit!
I'll be the first to tell. I'll be the first to let you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't mind it either. I am curious because I think Demon Slayer is going to have more than enough time with their movies since they're doing 2 or 3 of them. I think 3. 2 is in this realm of people that have like the anime itself like was on hiatus for a few years, and then they came out with this announcement of 2 movies. And the first movie's I think is fire. But it gave people time to like read the series and finish the series. And everyone was like, they left stuff out of the movie, the one that just came out. And there is so much content that still has to be covered for this last movie to the point where people are like, there's no way you can do it. And so that's where my brain is. If you're gonna, like, it has to make sense. And again, I thought the last Haikyuu movie was, I think Dumpster Battle was like awesome. Like, if you don't know anything about the show, I think it still works as a really, really good movie. And that's kind of like what reviewers were saying also. They were like, honestly, this movie is fire, and I don't know anything about Haikyuu. And I'm like, that's awesome. So, yeah, I don't know. I go back and forth with it. Like, I'm cool with a movie. I'm cool with a theatrical release. I'm gonna go. If I like the IP, I am gonna go. I don't know. I want it to, like, not feel rushed. If that makes sense.
I'll ask, because I think this is like it's almost like three different perspectives, right? So if you read a book that you really like, right, and then that book gets a movie, are you upset if the movie is different than the book? You personally?
Depends how different.
or I guess I'll phrase it this way. Are you understanding that if take a well-length, I don't know if the Sanderson books have movies, but
they don't.
If I'll use, please audience, don't kill me, I'm using it as an example. The Harry Potter movies, right? I don't know them, but from everything I've heard is the movies are different than the books, but it almost feels like it's because a movie can only do so much with a 3-hour window versus it has to try to adapt however many pages each individual book is.
So I would argue and say the Harry Potter movies actually do it really well. I think they do a good job of trimming the fat. But you get movies like, I mean, there are countless movies where you go, that's not like somebody taking creative liberties on someone else's story that don't work, because it kind of like redoes the character in a way. Not a movie, but Last of Us Season 2 is kind of falling in, or I guess since it's done, fell into this realm of the interpretation of the main character is off from the video game. So the original source material, your book or whatever, the character's off. And if you know that the character's off and you're watching this because you like how the character was before, for Last of Us purposes, since it's fresh on the brain, Ellie's ruthless in the video game. In the show, Ellie isn't ruthless at all, you know, and you're like, well, that's a completely different character. And I was just watching and I was waiting all season for her to be the video game, you know, be the video game. But they opted for more of like a teen romance version of it in the show, and I'm like, well, that's not it. I think that's the wrong piece to take from the video game. And there's like a bunch of movies that do that. I mean, you also get movies that like buy the rights to titles of books and then use that to bring in the book audience, and then it's a completely different movie and it has nothing to do with the book. So, I mean, stuff like that, I don't see anime doing that. But to go back to my point of like, don't rush a well-paced story, if that makes sense. It's like paced a specific way for a reason. And I also know that like a lot of novels have a lot of fluff in them because it's a lot of like existential stuff. It's another book series and show you didn't watch. Expanse. Really, really big fan of the books. I think the show is kind of lacking, personally, for me. But it's because it's a lot of mental thinking in that game and going over science and going over your interpretation of it. And when all is said and done, you can actually combine all the action in that show into like 7 episodes and call it a season. And you're like, well, that makes me feel weird because the book is that fucking thick. So what's this? And it's like, okay. To me, the show is saying 70% of this is fluff. And you're like, okay, all right. I don't know. I guess maybe it's a preference thing.
So it's an interesting way you phrase that, and because there's a question that I want to ask holistically for the last 2 chapters. And this does this feel like One Piece? But I think this is an unplanned but very interesting segue. Because everything you just said, if I understand the feelings right, you have a different opinion on what the live action One Piece does. Is that we know we like you just know we are getting a condensed version of One Piece because you know it is not fiscally possible to recreate this world in a live action sense. So you're okay with, for the live action, you're like, okay, cool. Alabasta's 60, 70 chapters. You're like, look, it's going to be a couple episodes. We're going to go boom, boom, boom. And I guess that's where does the difference for you of it's like, okay, we are the concessions when you have to animate either show or a movie versus creating the live action. Whereas you want the pacing to feel authentic in the anime or the movie, but you know for the live action, you're like, nah, dog, we cutting shit. Like Don Krieg, gone. Up Garp, get some hockey season 1. All right, let's do like you already kind of have that expectation. I guess what differs it for you besides the obvious answer being money? Like you just know you can't produce One Piece. Like, you don't do it. I think for me I had 0 expectations for the One Piece live action. If it flopped, it flopped. You know what I mean? Like it didn't flop, and I love that for them. It seems like the actors are having a great time with it. It seems like the showrunners are having a great time with it. I think the main dude is stepping back, but it seems like he wrote either season 3 and took a step back or wrote the outline for season 3 and took a step back, which is fine. But at the end of the day, I'm like, I think live action remakes I hate them. I'll be honest. I really don't like them. They have a very low percentage of being good. I'm like, hey, Aladdin was fun. You know what I mean? Aladdin was fun. Will Smith Genie was fun. I went into that movie with no expectations because I've seen Aladdin. Right? Like no. I've seen an interpretation of the text already. You know, my wife came back last night from seeing the new the remake of the How to Train Your Dragon movie. Barring children being obnoxious in the theater, she said it was fun. And I was like, that's great. I have no expectations for this movie. All I want is the music. Because that's what I like about How to Train Your Dragon. So when I look at One Piece and I go, all I want in this live action, and the same is going to go for Wit, all I want is the world building. That's it. If you don't, no. This was the problem with the Avatar live action show. They did 0 world building. They actually skipped over the world building and then made it a cheeky joke. Hey, you know what? Maybe that's what we needed. Maybe that's what somebody required of the Avatar series. They went, hey, you know what? We're going to focus on the bending and just the highlights. And you're like, and the world building? And they went, and just the highlights. And I went, okay, this is going to be fine. This is going to be something. And it was something. Again, glad the kids had fun, but it's not Avatar. it misses what makes Avatar, right?
It's Naruto without the fucking hand signs. Oh wait, that's what Boruto is. So, you know, it's yeah, right? Like but yeah. Yeah, it turns into that kind of like again, for me, live action remakes of existing IP that has already been adapted and does something that moves is kind of for me already.
And anime live actions historically, again, it's why there's
That's
a
why we
reason no
don't
one
do
respects.
them. Nobody
I
wants
agree.
them. Nobody wants them.
The
No,
assassination classroom one, while the
nobody.
ending scene is 10 out of 10 hilarious because you just have this horribly CGI big head masked Koro Sensei laying on the ground.
It's you want to see someone with a big head like lying on the ground dead? You go to day 5 of Comic-Con. That it's the same fucking thing.
Man, look, there's been, and I think up until like, so One Piece clearly was a success. Season 1, season 2 we're getting next year. Shout out to people that want to argue about how Chopper looks. Again, something I had
Are
zero
people
expectations
mad
for.
about how she looks fine?
It's a whole thing.
This is my other thing too, right? Like you go, I'm making a live action adaptation of One Piece, and you go, oh, I wonder how they're gonna do Chopper. Like, what are you expecting? Are you expecting a dog with antlers on his head to like it's a golden retriever with fucking antlers to be walking around? It's no, you.
I'm
I was, you know what I was stoked about? That again, the One Piece anime surprised, or the live action One Piece surprised me in many ways. I loved the practical effects they did with the fishmen.
yeah.
They could have easily made them CG, but part of what makes the fishmen is that they're people.
Yeah. Not
And
terrifying.
you know, like they're
Arlong's almost
people.
7-foot shark.
I'm curious how, because they did say they did cast someone to be Chopper, and
Yeah,
like they were gonna do a live action thing for Chopper, and so I'm like, oh, I wonder if when he gets into like man beast mode, or like he goes into like man mode, I guess, not man beast. When he turns into a guy and he starts punching things, I wonder if that's going to be an actual person. Like,
That'd be funny.
uh,
I think they're
like
going
it's
for
like
it.
it's Shaq or something they casted, and Chopper turns into Shaq, and now
Make my
Shaq's on the crew.
That would make my fucking day. I think they're going to, and I think it's smart because like it's gonna be impossible to pull it off to the same degree. Is like I don't think we're gonna have that many varied points, which I think is fine because realistically, post time skip, we mostly get Chopper in that base little small form. Like he turns into an actual deer to chase people down, and then he goes back to being the small version. And so, I think the live action is just going to keep him in that small version, and we're gonna get like one of the things. Again, I'm not in the movie space, so some of these conversations just sound weird to me because it's not things I'm used to complaining about. But people are dying like, what are they gonna do for Monster Point? And I'm like, they're gonna give us a silhouette. You're gonna see Homie get flown across because that's the only reason we care about right now. You're gonna see him fling one of the I don't remember the fucking CP9 agent, but he's gonna get flung across, and you're gonna see a shadowy version of that, like in the distance, and then you go and see like a meshed shot of Frankie pushing him out into the water, and that's it. And that's all I
No,
need.
I don't agree. I think you underestimate what you can do with CG. You're not gonna tease Monster Point. You're 100% going to show it. And the people that are like, wow, One Piece has to have a live action, and they're all gonna go, ugh, it looks bad. And I'm like, yeah, bro. Like, what did you. It's 2025, and we're still trying to figure out stretching because it doesn't look like. Like, this was an interesting thing. So next month, Fantastic Four comes out. And one of the main characters stretches. I mean, honestly, the main character stretches.
Mr. Fantastic.
Mr. Fantastic, right? Famously. You can make the case that the best version of stretching in any live action IP, the best looking stretching is probably the One Piece live action. I would say it does it the best. It looks fine. In the year 2025, I think it looks good enough. Does that mean it looks great? No, it doesn't look great. It looks good enough. And it's 2025. This is one of those things where it's like your brain is never going to be able to compute what. This is the theory behind it. Your brain is never going to be able to be okay with the human body just like stretching. And this whole rant I'm doing can be completely negated in July if Fantastic Four looks cool, right? Like if it looks great, I'll come on the podcast. I'll be like, I'm wrong. We cracked it. You know, somehow in the year 2025, we figured out how to make somebody contorting their body in a way that doesn't make any fucking sense look good. Because even people that are contortionists in real life look fucking weird. So, yeah. So, to go back to the Chopper thing, he looks great. He looks like I didn't think Detective Pikachu looked bad. He looks like Detective Pikachu. If you don't think Detective Pikachu looks good, you don't think Chopper looks good. So, like,
Valid.
Is what it is, man.
Imagine when we get Dami reversed for the live action.
I know, right? It's all right.
You guys really want to start bitching about how people look.
You want to know what I love? You want to know what I loved about the teaser, Justin? We got to see down these stairs at work. Chopper is stronger than the stairs that killed Kushina.
Yo, do we ever get that storyline? I and it's wild. I dead ass.
What storyline? She came out of the bathroom, tripped on a banana peel, and died. Oh, cool! It was a riveting 2-hour movie, Justin.
Because people have always because One Piece has too many theories. There's always been a theory that her dad was on bullshit, and that because her dad was this. Which, and to be fair, I think her dad is just a character written in. Man, I don't want to keep giving passes because at some point some of these have to be answered. But like, her dad was written in '97. Okay, in '97, if you just asked the average male what he wanted for his son versus his daughter, you would probably get some answers like homie had for. He's like, "Fuck, man, I really wanted to pass on my swordsmanship and my dojo, and then I had a daughter." And he just reflects the time of being in 97. And because we literally don't see homie ever again, except we get him once a decade. We get him for the once a decade, every flashback to everyone's hometown. We get the new bounty and everyone goes, "Oh my gosh, look at them. Oh my gosh." And he looks and he shakes his head and goes, "Yep, there's Zoro." And then he disappears and we don't see him for a decade. But because Kushina has always been like, oh, she's like a major part in Zoro's backstory, and she's gonna be this character, and it's like now.
Well, she looks like Tashigi, and that's the thing that sparked. Like, if we never got Tashigi, then the Kushina story would have been like, okay, great. But because we have this person that's like, oh yeah, you look like my friend, is the whole interaction. Honestly, Naruto, I blame Naruto hair spoilers on people being like, oh, whoa, Toby has to be Obito because they have the same hair and the backstory, and then they were all right. Oh man, the fourth Hokage has to be Naruto's dad because they have the very similar, if not the same hair. And they were right.
Yeah, but that one was bad because even off RIP for episode 1, we just saw like the stone face. It was like not.
It's the Naruto hair spoiler, man. Like it, and people latched onto that and they went, if you have the same hair as this mysterious character, it's why like people get mad about One Piece silhouettes because they aren't able to do the hair spoiler. And then they go, God, can you believe how different Kaido looks? And I'm like, yeah, eat shit, nerd. Eat shit.
But that even too, again, and there's a
wow,
lot of
Big Mom looks so different. You're like, good.
Now Big Mom fucks. Now, okay, so hold up. Big Mom, I throw in a different boat because it literally does not. If there's one timeline error for Oda, is
It's
I
Big
literally
Mom.
have no idea when Big Mom was skinny because she.
Oh no, that's not what I was going. I thought you were gonna do the Big Mom introduction at the end of Fishman Island.
That's
is
also
a
weird.
is a different Big Mom than we get.
The one we got. I agree.
Yeah.
I also, when she's flashbacked to the Roger to the start of the Roger era, end of Rocks, when she is just an entirely different human, but we then see her be big as shit when she has some of her first kids, and we now know she already, by the time God Valley happened, she was already 6-7 kids deep because she had established her own crew, and up to this point, we've only ever known her crew to exist of her children. And then like a handful of allies she's forced in along the way. But her crew has always been her kids. So by the time you get to God Valley, like you have Pero Sparrow, Katakuri. I'm not even going to try to act like I know kids 3 through 8. But they're established. But she's big when she has them. But then she's small and like sustained small. Not like the end of Whole Cake where we see her like wither down and we know her body can like, she can lose weight really fast because of just how her body works. I don't even really got an answer. She don't eat. She just gets real skinny real quick. But she was sustained skinny. She was skinny in Kaido's flashback. I have no idea when this bitch was like if there's one timeline flaw.
I'm letting you cook on this fat phobia, like, Justin. Go, fam.
I'm just asking though, like when was like because
here's your short. When Big Mom can't be skinny when she was fat.
That's his. I'm like, because it doesn't make like
Justin, I'm going
entirely different character.
This episode sponsored by Choose Fitness.
Now fuck that. We getting Ozempic. Y'all want to get skinny? Take some drugs.
Damn.
That's what like. I don't. It's like it's weird because it fundamentally looks like a different character because there's. You would imagine, and I don't want to stay here on Big Mom, but like.
No, he doesn't want to stay here on Big Mom.
You would assume that, like, man, this is gonna make me sound like a misogynist asshole. So
Look, it's fine. It's fine. You edit these. You just cut it. You just cut it out. You just cut it out.
It's like, because I have like this is. It sounds like this is gonna sound stupid. This is a real theory. I think at one point in time, Big Mom had Hancock's title. She was the most beautiful woman in the world. I think that was a real thing. I think that's how Kid 1 through pick whatever number because that's detailing what I don't care about. Like let's say she was hot shit for Kid 1 through 10, right? Because there's what, 30 kids, 40 kids, some stupid ass number. Okay, so kids 1 through 10, she's hot shit. Dudes is lining up to knock it down, and that's how you get the Pero Sparrows, Katakuris, all them. Then we know, because it's in her backstory, at a certain point, she just said, I want a child of this race, and if I was a guy, we would call this an entirely different character, but because it's a girl, it's just Big Mom doing her thing, and that's how she gets her other children. She gets married, because you gotta do it legally. She gets married, has the kids, kicks the nigga out, files divorce papers later.
Yeah.
And
yeah, man.
So, how do I put this in a way where I don't get? I just want to know when she was hot shit. And because I think that is a different character and her impact in the world versus because she had to do something, in my opinion, because I don't think she was ever as strong as... Man, why am I fucking this up? Because it'd be...
I'm also like trying to... You might be like fixating on like an anime issue too. Because I don't remember this in the manga being a thing. I don't remember seeing the kids interact with Big Mom as like little children. So
No,
like,
they don't interact. We just know they're older because God Valley's 38 years ago and Peril Sparrow's 50, and so we just know they
yeah,
exist. I don't know exactly what
yeah.
they're doing at this time frame.
I think she just
says in
dropped
kind of a
him.
flashback.
Like going off of like the Katakuri backstory, she just dropped him on an island, and like she went off on the rocks thing. So I figure she just got older, man. Like I don't know, like because I'm sorry, brother, but when you get older
I
and
think we've
you
had 3 different versions of Big Mom. Because yes, I think the acid. I think there was definitely a food acid theory. That was why we got the weird teeth and the shit falling out of her mouth. Then Oda said, "I have a cooler idea." Which, don't get me wrong, I like souls more than acid, so I approve. But I think there was a third variant of Big Mom who was more of that Hancock style character. And then he ended up, I think, enjoying the character of Hancock more and didn't want to double down on being like, oh, well, I made a warlord version of this character. I don't want to also make an emperor version of this character.
oh
And
maybe
I think
his whole thing has always been like when you're young and you're pursuing your dreams is when you're your youngest, but when you give up your dreams is when you start manifesting this ugliness. And so Big Mom, I assume I look at it as like when she's on the Rocks crew, she's following her dreams, right? She is her dream is to be queen of the pirates or whatever, and her kids be damned, right? Like fuck these kids, they're in my way. The Rocks pirates disband. She becomes an emperor of the sea, and then she stops pursuing her dream, and so that ugly manifestation kind of happens because of that. Also, like he does a good job of just like making people look old. Like when you're old, you become kind of like shitty. He does hate women,
unless it's Nami, exactly.
Yeah, unless it's Nami, or honestly, no. Unironically, he has no problem making attractive older women. They do not look old, though. Which I think is very funny.
I didn't put this together, and this is probably not a huge revelation, but this is just, when my brain starts thinking of One Piece stuff, this is just easy to forget. Loki's probably the inspiration of why Big Mom wanted a giant so badly, is because we know Harold is out here fucking different people. We don't technically know that it was necessarily a giant. Big Mom could see that. She is the queen of interracial marriages and children, and went, wow, just half of that created Loki. She would know Loki was a monster because she was active when he was active, and went, I want one of those. I just want it to have my blood so it'll listen to me or be scared of me. And Loki might have been the real inspiration for why she wanted a giant so badly.
I think she wanted the giant so badly because she knew what that. You see, like Big Mom's smart, man. Like say what you will, say of all the emperors, she's the smartest emperor, and I
put Blackbeard above her, but
I don't even know. I think Blackbeard's in the same realm, but Big Mom's just been on this like train longer. So I go, Big Mom knows that if you can. Big Mom realized that whoever could like tie themselves to the giants was the most powerful person on the ocean, in the sea. Like they're the most powerful person. And that nothing is more apparent than this last chapter where where Emu started like flipping Dorian Bragi. And it's like, okay, cool. He has the giants, right? And he's like, I win. I've taken away their culture, I've taken away their identity, and I've taken away their sense of self, and given them nothing but like unbridled power and a directive. I win. Like, like I do appreciate Big Mom's like, how do you become king of the pirates? Well, everybody on the ocean respects you, and if you have ties to every race and every island and if you're everywhere, then yeah, like people respect you. Or at least that's her way of thinking.
It's valid. And
So
she's vindicated because her fruit, respect and or fear, her fruit literally plays off that of like, you are so feared by everyone, like, because not only her fruit, but even like her crew, it was like nobody on the Rocks Pirates were friends. They were just quite possibly them, Garp and Roger were the strongest people on the ocean, and they were just like, well, there's just more of us. Like if there's a top 10, we're 6 of the top 10, so like fuck with us. Who cares
yeah,
if we get along or even like each other?
yeah. From her standpoint, an alliance is like everything. And it's why she like allied herself with Kaido. She was trying to like, I'm pretty sure she was trying to marry off one of her sons to, or one of her kids to Kaido's kid, right? And it's like, okay, cool. Now that alliance is solidified, and you have two emperors under the same flag.
That was an insane chapter.
Yeah, man, like it's so cool. But
It's like 6 years ago now, 5-6 years ago now.
yeah, a good amount of time has passed.
So saying all that to say really quick here, because we do have 2 chapters since we last technically talked. So 2 chapters ago, I'll be real, when Emu first showed up and started doing the Emu things, I didn't like it very much, and I probably sounded a lot like Jake, which is there felt so like rampant and so fast of like flipping Dorian Bragi, showing up, just it did not feel like One Piece to me. And I'm going to sound like a hypocrite here for a second, because I don't exactly know why it didn't, because this last chapter did. And Emu technically flipped even more giants in this last chapter. And but for whatever reason, like One Piece has very concrete, hey, we're raising the bar moments, right? Like Crocodile was one because it was our first exposure to a Logia, and it was like, holy shit, we're playing a new game. Then you get the admirals, and each admiral kind of has their own. Like Aokiji just rocks everyone, doesn't even seem like he's trying very hard, and it's like, oh fuck, okay, admirals are different. Kizaru shows up, literally sends a story into a damn near sends a story into what would eventually become the time skip. And Akainu at the war was the scariest person in the entire battlefield of the War of the Best. It was like, the Magnum motherfucker's terrifying. Then you get, be the next example, Kaido is another one where it's like, no, emperors are playing a different game. Luffy's got all this momentum. He shows up. He's like, I'm ready to kick ass and take names. And Kaido just slams him into the fucking ground the first time they meet. And he goes, hey, throw him in prison. I get it. This is your story. You think you're cool. I don't care. You're a waste of my time. Throw his ass in prison. This felt like a lot, where we know the giants are incredibly powerful. Emu just shows up, starts flipping things. Because at some point in your story, you have to ask yourself as you get into these late game conversations of like, why didn't this work before? Like, if you could do this, why wasn't this a thing done before? Like, yeah, there's some level of like, okay, most MCs aren't off the bat like some big threat, and there's a little bit of like, all right, well, time will take care of itself, or the system in place will take care of itself. But it's like, if Emu could do all of this to giants, and Dorian Bragi are, Rule's kind of weird, but Dorian Bragi are basically the strongest giants we have, and you just immediately said, now they're mine. They're just demons, they're mine. I now could basically own Elbaf. That felt really weird to me. And in a way, this is where the hypocritical part is, and it took actually watching a few videos of people reviewing this chapter for me to go, I didn't question this with Gear 5, because Gear 5 felt like One Piece. Luffy was doing things that made absolutely no sense, but it was like funny and goofy, and it was just like, okay, I'm rolling. But he broke all the rules. Emu just broke all the rules, and it felt like, this doesn't, I don't know, like 2 chapters ago, it did not feel like One Piece to me. How did that come across you when Emu just started? I hate the name Dami Reverse because the internet gets a hold of that, and I don't think Oda realizes what he unleashed with that. But once Emu started Dami reversing people or the giants, how did you feel when you were first reading that?
Honestly, I had the opposite feel. I was like, oh, this, because all of Egghead, we were like, wow, this feels different. This feels strange, and what, like, I don't understand how this immortality thing is supposed to work. And now there's like these magic circles and cursed circles that everybody seems to be doing. Like I mean, you play back some of our episodes when we go, oh, it's a whole new magic system that's been added. This makes me realize that it, after what, we were talking about 1150, right? Yeah. I went, oh, this is the devil fruit power. This is what his devil fruit does. His devil fruit, he's a demon, and he can like bestow powers on people and like make them stronger, make them evil, and it's kind of like the reverse of Luffy's, which is kind of cool. Mm-hmm. But I looked at this and I went, oh, like now everything previous, it's like, I think it's supposed to be jarring and weird. You know, Dory, right? Dory gets his hand blown off, which is insane, right? I was like, oh my god. I was like, that's crazy for a One Piece chapter to just blow off a character's hand in 3 panels and then go, all right, next. But this to me was like, oh, okay, this is what the power does. I was cool with it, man. Yeah. I don't feel as weird as you do about it.
It was, again, it sounded hypocritical. It was some of this in trying to explain, because I guess what would be, if we think it's a devil fruit ability, then it would play under the same rules that all the other spell fruits do, which is if you have strong enough hockey, you could theoretically reverse this. Yeah. Yeah,
if you have stronger hockey than the wielder, which might be like the key to something like this. You have to have better hockey than Emu, but maybe Dory and Bragi don't, you know. You know, like, and maybe it's not spell-based magic. You know, we would assume it's a spell-based magic, but there's a strong possibility that it's not. Crazy. But yeah, because like it's not just a spell though. They've physically have changed. They're now as tall as like the ancient giants, and it seems like it's a lot more than brainwashing, right? They have like wings now and all that. So like, yeah, there seems, you could say it's like just a brainwashing thing, but it's almost like the character themselves have changed, physically have changed, which doesn't feel the most spell magic-y. But yeah, I don't know. I guess we'll find out if a fight goes on and maybe the same thing tries to happen with Luffy and Luffy shakes it off, then we'll know that it is spell-based devil fruit. But I don't know yet. We don't know yet.
So I guess my next question would be do you think Emu has ever done this before, specifically to the giants? Because there is, and I'm kind of bouncing back and forth here between the 2 chapters.
Yeah, they've been out for a week and 2 at this point. There's no reason to really go over them.
Like, Emu has the line in 1151 where it's like, this shit could have already been resolved, but Harold fucked up at the last hour. Now, when we were out this weekend, and I explained to Colin, I was like, I think it'd be kind of cool what if Harold's, now Harold we're told, is an ancient giant, so he should have natural horns, but like, even if you're an ancient giant and then you get, let's say, a modified horn if Emu tries to flip you, did he just tear him out as his way of fighting back from being Dami reversed? And would that have led to the fight in the castle? Was it Harold being controlled because he's a monster? He's just laying everybody out. And that's why you get this, you have however many, I forget the exact number, however many skeletons there are inside the castle because of this great war. And Harold was just laying into people. Harold finally is able to overcome it, rips out the horns, and goes, because he is considered a hero, him and Yarwell are considered heroes, or they're like the older generation of heroes, because Dorian Broggy are technically the giant timeline. It's weird. If they were humans, though, Dorian Broggy would be the old generation, Harold and Yarl would be the like grandparents, so second generation. But they were both heroes. And would he have succumbed to just like guilt of, holy shit, I just murdered X amount of giants, I can't step out here and be king again? And that's why Loki would have had to A, take the fruit, / B, Harold had to die. And he would be able to preserve Harold as a hero off reputation. Yarrow would still be a hero because he'd be alive, and Loki just had to take you got to be the bad guy, dog. Because we can't let everybody see that a giant was, like, you don't want this scene that's currently happening on Elbaf happening with Harold, even though it probably did.
I don't know about that, but I am curious because they talked about the giant civil war.
Mm-hmm.
Or wars between giant tribes and stuff, and I wonder if that was Dami Reversi in play. Now, to this extent, I don't know. It could also be that like the ancient giants were all Dami Reversi'd. That's the other thing too, like the idea of like a continent mover. No, you know what? I'm actually gonna retract that. I think there were those big, like, ancient giants were huge, and I think part of this power that Emu's done is kind of revert back to that savagery, or play into that savagery. But I think I'm inclined to agree that Harold was demonified or whatever, and he was able to break the curse, which I guess would make it spell magic. At a certain point, he was able to like have this crazy hockey break this curse. Which makes Loki a really interesting player in this, because Loki might not be able to get flipped.
It's so
like, even hold on, let me look at the most recent chapter, because Loki says something like, "Oh man, you actually are gonna have to let me out."
When Scopper falls down.
Yeah, what preposterous hockey is that? Looks like you're gonna need me after all. Yeah.
By the way, it's we don't have to stay here. I love the idea that like when Scopper go on, they're like, oh yeah, no, he was like third in line in the Pirates crew. My man was like on his deathbed, literally stabbed to death. He was like, bitch, I was second. Fuck me.
Yeah.
And I was like, I appreciated in a chapter full of demons, and like it just looks like hell. Oda was like, no. My man's got to stand on principle. Dying or not, like, bitch.
Yeah, he's gonna. My last word is gonna be, Rayleigh ain't shit.
Rayleigh ain't no fucking mountain eater.
No, he ain't.
The transponder snail. So this has been getting theorized.
Ooh, who do you think is on the other end of Loki's transponder snail? So, is it a new character or new, or is it a new character, or have we met them before?
I'm kind of rolling with the internet, which is a terrible thing to say. I think it's Yarl. The transponder snail has the really big beard. We just got the end of the last chapter where it's like, hey, we're going to go try to kill Jarl. And Jarl's like, I ain't no bitch, so I ain't going to run. But, like, there's a lot of these motherfuckers. So we going down. And him telling Loki, like, hey, yo, bro, it's been fun, man. But, like, this is going to be our last call. And it goes with some of that same line of thinking that whatever happened in that castle between him, Loki, and Harold.
Yeah.
Like, they're the three that know. They're the three survivors. And so he's going to have a different opinion of Loki than what everybody else is going to have. And so him still knowing, like, all right, Loki's not a total piece of shit. He's not the guy that just mercilessly killed his father. So I'm inclined to think the transponder snail is Jarl, especially with the beard. Now, the beard's a little disingenuous because I'm sure there is, again, if this is an unforeseen character, there's mad characters with beards in One Piece, especially old guys. But I'm rolling with Jarl as things currently stand. Who's in your?
I think Jarl is a good one. I feel like we haven't met this person yet. And I'm trying, I don't know if you read the English version of it. I will be unable to call you for a while, I think. I don't know, like, it feels more, it's just like, there's something strange about it, and it's like, I don't know if we've met this character. Don't worry, it won't take long. As a matter of fact, I'm busy too. Just one thing. I wasn't able to tell you earlier, but I will be unable to call you for a while, I think. At first I found it frightening, but the more you and I talked, the more our conversations became a source of solace to me, so I wanted to express my gratitude. I just wanted to say thank you for everything, and click. So, I don't know. It doesn't feel like Yarul.
So, the one that's like, again, the beard and the context where we know Jarl's in helps. The part that does kick Jarl and makes it tough to believe is we get the two New Age giants that are part of Hajruden's crew, and we get to see their face, and they don't really have a reaction to it. Which you would assume that if
Gerd says, I'm glad to know that you have a friend to keep you company here in the lonely underworld.
But because they don't have this, like, oh shit, like, because you would think if it was Jarl, like, they would have an immediate, like, holy fuck, like, Jarl's talking to him, because it's been so, it's weird to us, because for readers, we got thrown to Loki almost immediately, but Loki's been basically untouched by civilization for 6 years, like, he's just been chilling down here by himself, and so he's had no contact, theoretically. Obviously, Transponder Snail's been down there for a while, but, like, so that would, you would assume, get a reaction. And then Scopper falls down. I love this, by the way. When we get these shots or these panels of, like, Luffy, Sanji, Zoro, and they are now okay, shit's gonna be cool. Like, they're now in the strong side of things, where the second they show face, Luffy's immediately terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
And I am curious if you can even be, this is going to sound really fucking cheesy, but it makes sense. I'm curious if Dami Reverse even works in Luffy's presence. So currently Imu is facilitating itself through Gunko, who is admittedly scared of Nika. Imu, we know, has a semi-fear of Joy Boy acknowledgement of power, because we got the old hockey, and it's the only time we've seen Imu, like, go, holy fuck, that's a lot. When the Joy Boy hockey came out of Emmett.
Mm-hmm.
So if Luffy just shows up, theoretically, and goes Gear 5, I don't know. I'm curious how that's going to react to this power and these characters who, all we've heard them say, despite running shit, flipping everyone, the Holy Knights causing all this damage, is go, don't piss off the Emperor. Don't piss off Nika. And if he shows up, it's like, okay, what is now the current state? Like, it is hell on earth up top, but does that immediately flip the second you just see Nika? I also, if I don't get Loki out of his chains in the next 5 chapters, I'm going to write some very angry fan mail because I have still not seen my giant devil fruit, and if I go all of Elbaf without seeing it, I will be upset. Love you, Oda, but like, I need this. I
wonder if the transponder snail is someone even on Elbaf.
Could be.
Right? We don't know. We don't know who Loki's mom is, right?
No, we just know that he has a different mom than Hajruden.
So, I mean, Loki's mom could have been like some crazy powerful person, right? Theoretically.
Correct. Theoretically.
I don't know. There has to be a reason why he is just so insanely powerful.
Besides
Harold. Like compared to Hajruden, right? Who's older. So Loki's like the stronger, younger kid. I don't know. There's something also where like Shanks' brother Shamrock comes down and he's like, you're more than welcome to join us. I wonder if he has ties to the Holy Land in some way, and that's like part of his lineage. It could be that like Emu was trying to control the giants through marriage alliance, the same way Big Mom was, and so Harold ripping his horns out and like moving away was like his sign of breaking this alliance. And so
Damir verse is permanent or has to be broken, or do you think it just
I think it's able to be broken because something about Brooke broke it for a moment with Gunko. Something broke through Gunko's brain. So it's definitely something that could be broken.
Excuse me. That's arguing about your boy killing him. I guess it makes more sense. Do we think all? I want to say, do we think? So I saw something, and I'm kind of rolling with it. I don't totally love it, but I wouldn't be upset if it was the case. Do we think all of their powers somehow stem from Emu?
Yeah, I think if you have the ability to like. If you have this like immortality thing, that's a sign that you've got this corruption.
Okay. And so like even like the fruit based powers, because when Emu talks to killing him and goes, because they all kind of look similar. When you get like the panel with Dory, Bragi, and all the dream demons, they're very similarly drawn. And so it almost, when I was looking at them, I was like, huh. And you've got this chessboard. You've got like this chessboard, which I didn't totally understand at first. Unless this is like, I don't think this is a real thing. It's just supposed to be like.
Well, it's not. It's not American. It's a It's like a. It's not an American game though.
But is that like, are those real pieces? And I guess for the only thing I have to compare it to is like when Kabuto had everybody reanimated and he deadass had all these little pieces and he could literally like grab them and that would remove, like, the character would be reboxed up. I don't know if that's.
I looked at it. Imagery. I think it's just imagery personally because it's also on like a board. It's like it's not checkers. It's kind of like checkers, but it's not. I think for us the closest thing I could think of is checkers, but
because Killingham makes.
I don't know the name of the game, but yeah,
it's valid. The
it's shogi. That's it.
Oh, bet.
Shogi is Japanese chess. Yeah.
I'll ask this because you are much more of a fan of this character than I am. I like the character. I'm just not a super fan. Is this Usopp's moment to shine? Meaning, is Usopp going to play a key role in potentially... This is obviously, again, playing off the fact that this is spell-based, what Emu was able to do. is Usopp going to be the one who helps Dory and Bragi revert back to themselves?
Sorry, it's not Shogi. It's Go. Yeah, it's Go.
Again, I don't know if those are supposed to be real pieces or not. I never even really understood. And it was, again, Kabuto's piece is the only thing I can think of. But that was even more like expressed in the anime. But I never really knew if that was like, I don't know if that's supposed to just be an image thing. Because Killingham says we have all the pieces now on the board. Also says, yo, Imu's here. We can go just balls to the walls. Because that probably eliminates some of the fear of Nika showing up. Is like, you've got your king piece, we have ours. But yeah, do you think Usopp is going to be able to help break Dory and Bragi and all the other giants that are falling under this? Is this Usopp's moment to shine?
Maybe. I don't see how, honestly. This feels a little bit much for Usopp. I don't know. This feels more like maybe Usopp will. I think Usopp might be able to honestly, this might be an Usopp moment because he looks up to the giants. He looks up to Dory and Bragi. And that might break whatever's happening in their brain enough for them to take pause in the same way that Brook broke Gunko.
Usopp also flipped Kashimo and I forget the other giant's name. Oimo. When they were at Ennie's lobby, he was the one that was able to flip them and get them on the Straw Hat side. And so this would be that moment, obviously on a much grander scale, but that same kind of concept of, ouch, those arrows are permanent. I don't think I realized that the first time reading. The arrows just stay in. I thought the arrows were more like an energy attack, and so I just kind of assumed they disappeared. No, he's just falling, and there's dead-ass arrows and just fucking inside his
he got messed up, man.
And then technically, what's Usopp's other actually the Giants? He also flipped Hajrudin. Now Hajrudin was getting turned into a toy in Dressrosa, but he was able to get Hajrudin. He was able to get Kashimo and Oimo on their side, and so this would be because otherwise, what the fuck does Usopp do? Because Usopp has to do something on Elbaf. This is even more so because it's so directly tied to his dream. If you went this arc without Usopp doing something really important, that would feel even worse than the Frankie Egghead thing. Because even though we all wanted Frankie to do something because there's a connection we can make as readers, he technically didn't have, his dream was not to, oh, I can't wait to see Vegapunk. This is literally Usopp's dream of, I want to go to Elbaf, I want to be a great warrior of the sea. This is, theoretically, this is his end game outside of what he wants to help Luffy accomplish.
Mm-hmm.
And this sounds like a really dumb question, but I think because of the way that it's written and it's bold, what do we think is Harold's failure? What do we think was the plan when Harold was in charge that Imu thought, oh, I'm going to be able to get the giants through him?
Harold's failure was probably demilitarizing the giants. I feel like that's kind of a safe bet. Yeah.
And what do we think is the heart of Elbaf? Because that's the other word that's bold. Because heart, failure, and God of Elbaf all got bolded. And so I
think it's the kids. They are the heart of Elbaf. Or wait, hold on, let me see. Continue until it breaks. Until what breaks? The heart of Elbaf. The heart of Elbaf might just be the giant spirit.
There's some overwhelming force that they can't beat, and you eventually have to give in.
Yeah, it's the spirit.
I agree.
Yeah, because that's the thing. This country would have been subjugated years ago if not for Harold's miserable failure. I think Harold bringing I don't want to say civility, but culture and education and things that would push you into the future as a society versus holding you back as weapons. That seems to be the most in line with Oda's themes.
He's good at them. And this is the lingering thing in the back of my head of just I'm trying to figure out what beyond just getting Dominierverse and turned into a demon, Emu, by all accounts, has been here since the Void Century, if not even a little predating it. So I'm just, I guess, like, how do we get here where it took us 1,150 chapters before now it was like, okay, this is the move? Because, like, Emu would have theoretically...
Oh, why is this happening now?
Yeah, like, the ancient weapon, like, destroying Lelusia, we're all kind of like, okay, well, Vegapunk was needed for that because they didn't have the power source. Like, what would stop Emu from going, like at the war? Like, what stops you from just pulling up and go when Whitebeard pulls up and it's like, okay, we're going to end Roger's line. I can kill Whitebeard and I can do this in way less fucking casualties than what that created, because that also spun off its own shitstorm. Like, Whitebeard dying.
Well, like, what's the point? Why do you think Emu would get involved in that?
I'm not sure I understand the point of now, outside of that, exactly now Mary Joie is under attack.
No, now everything's changed because the world has been exposed to Nika. And so you go, like, Nika is revealed to the world, and Egghead happens, and the giants come running to Nika. And so now everything's changed. Like, on top of, like, Mary Joie being under siege, you know, securing the giants is like, you have to secure the giants. I mean, we're heading into, like, the end of the third world to giant prophecy. And so now you have to reveal yourself. You have to, like, now it's your fight, per se. Versus, like, the execution of a pirate with ties to Roger. Very loose ties to Roger, right? It's like...
I'm just son.
That he never met.
He did,
you know,
he did die before.
Yeah.
No, that's valid.
You know,
that's
so it's like... yeah, so... I'm just like... This is the overarching world that we're in now. This is the overarching system. You know, Emu isn't gonna go to Sabaody and take out the supernova, because why? It's not. They're so far. It's the opposite of, like, the celestial dragon mentality of they're beneath me. So, like, if they're beneath me, I'm not going to interact with them. The squabbles of the little people don't affect me. Luffy's wanted poster revealing himself as Nika went, all right, Nika's back. Now we need to accelerate things. Which, in, like, a week and a half, I would say, yeah, things have accelerated a bit. A week and a half, maybe 2 weeks, things have accelerated quite a lot.
Play a little bit of devil's advocate. And I'm not really saying I agree with, because I agree with a lot of what you're saying. I guess because we're implied to think that the Gorosei knew Luffy's fruit even before Luffy did, because they're technically the ones that announced to us, being the readers. And this is kind of funny logic, because it's always weird when a character has to, like, explain something in world, because it is clearly explaining to the reader, but it is a part of the story now. And so the Gorosei going, oh yeah, man, you know, like the rubber fruit, except it's never been that. We know it's always been when it's awakened, it's this. So would that then, because this is, I think, and I think these are fair questions, even though I think that Oda gets the benefit of the doubt of, like, once you knew Luffy was a problem, whatever stage you want to assign that to, like beating Crocodile, okay, probably not really a problem still, like,
I mean, it was kind of the first problem.
But you probably knew, it's like, okay, whatever threat or level of the world you viewed Crocodile as, having the admirals in place, you're like, okay, Crocodile is far below an admiral. Like, if we really needed to, like, we could send, theoretically, even before Luffy hit a Celestial Dragon, like, I could send a Kizaru and Aokiji and Akainu, and they would just kill Luffy at that point in the story, right? You weren't scared of him yet. Like, what would be that stretch, though, where you're like, he did this, I know what his fruit actually is, how close to the sun are we going to let this fucker fly before it's too late? Because it's now just officially too late. He got with Kaido, and because that's the other thing, is like, is Imu also scared of these otherworldly figures like the Gorosei were? The Gorosei expressed fear and concern dealing with all the emperors. And so does Imu in that same boat, or does Imu feel like, nah, I could beat him?
I mean, like, I probably that one, right? Because he has, theoretically, if Imu is who, like, as old as we think he is, he beat Joy Boy. He beat the fruit last time.
Well, theoretically, we don't
know.
Technically know the ending. Yeah,
we don't technically know it, but we do know that at the end of the second world, Joy Boy failed.
Yeah.
So,
do we think Roger ever saw Imu?
I don't know. I do not know.
Roger's path was so different.
Roger, well, I think, yes, I think the crew knows everything about the world because of the God Valley incident. Yeah. But yeah. Like, I don't know. I guess you can always make the case of, well, why don't they just nip it in the butt? But if the fruit hasn't awakened in 900 years, yeah, right? Like, 900 years is quite a long time, right? I also think that, like, when we think about when is it going to be a problem, you go, well, we don't want to, like, reveal ourselves and escalate a situation that doesn't need to be escalated. The world works on a balance system, and the Gorosei, since the beginning, have, like, not loved, but, like, have been very rigorous with this world system. So it's like, we do have 7 warlords, and we do have 3 admirals, and we do have 4 emperors, and that is the system. And within this system, we can stomp out things without needing to reveal ourselves. Marines are everywhere. Marines work for the world government. We have assassins within the world government that can go and do things. The CP system, right? Marijois is on top of the red line, where we have holy knights to protect us. So there's just so many things in place to, like, solidify this world order that, we don't need, like, a king doesn't need to make this move, right? Even if the king is the strongest. It's like, well, like, the king doesn't want to do things if they don't have to.
No, it's valid.
It's not in their best interest to, like, reveal themselves to the world and then potentially go, like, the world go, oh my god, what the fuck is that?
Because that's the other thing that Imu gives no fucks about, like, this. Like, Imu is clearly the bad guy, which is also another reason why it's had to stay. He literally goes, one of the lines is like, yeah, I filled you with evil. And it's like, oh, you don't give a fuck. Like, you're not trying to play this, I'm secretly the good guy because I'm on the side of the world.
Yeah,
like,
it went all out the window. It went all out the window when Luffy's bounty poster changed. And I think that's the only reason, like, Saturn went to Egghead in the first place. I'm like, Saturn didn't need to be there, right? Kizaru was all they needed to send, but, like, Saturn going was like, hey, no, we're gonna make sure. And then, Saturn's failure, Emu's like, okay, you're dog shit by and then like erases them and then replaces them. So, you know, on top of Marijois being under siege by something, he's like, it's the whole like, we don't got, like, we're moving into the next phase, man, and I'm gonna do it if we have to.
It's valid, and you'd assume right now it's some combination. Again, I think Akainu being there is funny because of self-destruction. But the Garling, Shamrock, we still have. Do we have a number on Holy Knights? Like how many exactly they're supposed to be?
I don't think so. I don't know why 11's in my head, but
that's what I'm like. Because like there's the Supernovas, Admirals. Like there's a number for like everybody. I guess, like it's a specific number.
I guess it's like, the God Knights. One? Excuse me. Man, it's not like my. Let me see. It does. That's a more recent development, honestly. It doesn't give a number.
You shut up. We only got a few minutes left. We'll end on this note. Is what do we think? How quickly is Emu and Luffy going to see each other?
I don't think.
Like, we know it's probably next chapter, but like, do we think it's going to be immediate? Do we think Oda's going to kind of play around still with what's going on before they make their way up from the underworld? Or does he really blue ball us and they don't see each other at all next chapter, but we do unleash Loki? And Loki basically gives us
I think we're gonna unleash Loki first. I think we were a good ways away from the two meeting. I do think Emu sees Luffy, but I don't think Luffy will. Luffy's gonna recognize this fool by his hockey, not by his appearance. Yeah, and I love these, and I will make the same joke every single time because it's hilarious to me. I'm excited as fuck for them to meet because, again, Luffy, in a very authentic way, doesn't give a fuck about any of the history that he's involved in, even though he is quite possibly history's most important figure. He's just like, nah, man, I'm just trying to have fun. I'm having a good time. Yeah, it just worked out this way, man.
Yeah, it's like, it's why he's like the funniest, like, he is like the child of destiny, but just the zero fucks given about it is always hilarious to me. I like this a lot with, second nice thing to say about Naruto this episode is I always like the fact that, you know, if you're going to give someone a crazy power or a crazy, like, bestowed power, I like the fact when it's an asshole. I like the fact Kurama was evil like 80% of the story. That was really fun to me. It's not this, my 30-second Yu-Gi-Oh rant. I think it's boring when it's like, main character, we're going to give you this power, and this power also inherently is good. It's like, Yugi gets the Pharaoh's a good guy, Yugi's a good guy, it's like, okay, let's go do good guy things. No, I think it's far more interesting in a story when it's like, Naruto, I'm going to give you quite possibly the strongest power in the world. By the way, it's an asshole, it will try to kill you, and if you give it too much time, it will literally take over your life and body. Have fun.
Hard magic.
That's more, yeah, it's like, that's more interesting to me than just saying like, yo, you got this power or you have this spirit and he's also good and you're trying to do the same things. It's like, okay, that's just more cliche storyline. Also, to my Yu-Gi-Oh fans, GX literally makes no sense. Yugi's in that timeline. Why does Jaden do literally anything? But that's not a rant for the show, but I was going over, I deep dive into Yu-Gi-Oh about once a year, and I really thought about it as like, why does Jaden do... They have Jaden literally go on like world-saving missions, and I'm like, the cast from the first show in world is there. Like, why did we send the child? He's literally there. Like, anyway, this is why you got to go to just 5Ds and kill everyone.
True.
Oh man, it's better storytelling. Man, with that being said, appreciate everybody as always. Yes, slightly shorter episode, not in any way, shape, or form due to the potential mishaps at the start. We've never had mishaps. Always take one.
True.
With that being said, though, appreciate everybody as always. Don't forget to check us out, YouTube, wherever you listen to podcasts. Go follow us on socials, and we'll see you guys next week.
All right, peace out, dudes.